We hear about cyber hacking all the time, but what are the hackers looking for and how can you protect yourself? Well, joining me now is Cyrus Walker. He's the managing principal Data Defenders LLC. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with what are the main reasons a hacker is even looking to get in your devices?
Two reasons. One is for financial gain, and two is to build a reputation. Financial gain, obviously, through ransomware that encrypts data on a consumer's or business's computer that they then use to ransom back to the victim. The second is they're looking to build a reputation and credibility within their community to prove their skill set. That's what we see happening with ring swatting and other trends that we see in the industry today. It's really about those two things.
Right, and stealing credentials. I guess they can access your accounts and use your information for blackmail. Tell me, what device is a hacker most likely to go after?
They're most likely to go after your mobile device, because that's what we use all day, every day. And because we pretty much run our entire life from our mobile device today, whether it be managing our financial accounts, retail, travel, communications, our entire life is on that device. And so because of that, they're looking to gain access to the mobile device, primarily because we've been behaving badly when it comes to how we manage this device in our life. We use very bad habits when it comes to credential management, sharing information, and other things like that that really make us vulnerable. If we change a few things in our behavior, we can make it a lot harder to become victim to attacks by malicious hackers.
Okay. So what are those top things? I know some people may store their passwords in their device or take pictures of maybe a credit card or something. What do we need to stop doing?
So what we need to stop doing is reusing information over and over and over again. And what I mean by that is reusing credentials. So for instance, we have about 20 or 30 online accounts on average. Typically, online accounts will require either a username or an email address as the username to gain access, as well as a password. We generally reuse that username and email address and password over and over and over again. If we log into a computer that's compromised and the hacker is able to gain access to those credentials, they can then go out and test. They can go to Ring, or they can go to Amazon, or they can go to Bank of America or Chase to see if we have used those credentials for our accounts. Right. And if we have, then they have immediate access to those accounts. That's why ring swatting is trending today, because users have used their regular email address that they use on a daily basis to communicate email as their username. Okay. So the thing I would recommend is account compartmentalization. And what I mean by that is create an email address that you do not use on a daily basis as your username for the accounts that require an email address. That way, the only time you use it is to log into those accounts. You don't use it on a daily basis, exposing it to the potential of being compromised by a hacker. Okay. That's the number one thing I would recommend.
I have another quick question. So where do you store all these things you want to remember, like your usernames and your passwords? Where's the safe spot to put them?
Right here.
See, that's so hard.
I know. But I'm going to give you a quick tip. So the first tip that I gave you about creating the email address that you don't use on a daily basis, compartmentalize your accounts. You have about 4 or 5 financial accounts, 4 or 5 retail accounts, 4 or 5 entertainment accounts. Create an email address that's memorable for each one of those categories of accounts, and create a password that's memorable for each one of those categories of accounts. That way, instead of having to remember 20 or 30 sets of credentials, you only have to remember 2 or 3 sets of credentials. And it makes it harder for an attacker to gain access to all of your accounts that you potentially use those credentials for.
So sorry, we're out of time. So sorry, we're out of time. I tell you, I could have a long conversation with you because I need so much help. But Cyrus Walker, that's a good start. I need that, what is it, Prevagen or that memory medicine they sell at the drugstore? Maybe that's what I really need. Thank you, Cyrus.